It's been 2.5 hours since I balled my dough. It's had time in the fridge to relax, and now we're gonna make some pizza. Okay, before we get going on making some pizza, you gotta have everything ready. I've got a cutting board over there set up to cut my pizza. I've got some chopped marjoram. Marjoram is an amazing herb, similar to oregano, but it's just a little bit more floral and a little bit less astringent. Like if oregano is kind of like a sharper, harsher herb, marjoram looks very similar to it. You could mistake the two, and it's got just a much more friendly, lighter kind of flavor. It's amazing. We all enjoy a little bit of fresh chopped marjoram on our pizza. It goes great with, if you're gonna stick with something kind of traditional, like we're doing pepperoni. The girls want pepperoni, my wife wants pepperoni and mushrooms. I'm gonna have pepperoni, mushrooms, and jalapeno. So if it's something simple like that, marjoram's your friend, add it. It'll totally change your life. Maybe you'll never have pizza without it. Anyway, everything ready. So I got my landing pad cutting board where I'm gonna cut pizza. I've got some plates set up over there. This is kind of my work area. I've got a sheet tray with parchment paper ready to go for our lunch pizza, the big guy, and then mozzarella toppings, and then tomato sauce. What kind of tomato sauce? Well, I made this tomato sauce and I canned it because we have a ridiculous garden. We have about 1,000 square feet dedicated to a garden and then a big 200 square foot greenhouse. And all I want is for my wife to grow beefsteak tomatoes, and then I turn it into tomato sauce and I can it. And we've got a lot of tomato sauce downstairs, and then a couple more, maybe 2 or 3 more cases beyond what's in this picture that you just saw. Anyway, it makes it so I've always got an amazing tomato sauce that I can count on. I generally take it more towards the smooth side, so it's not a chunky sauce, so we can spread it on our pizza. So if you do buy a sauce and it's chunky, maybe throw it to a food processor or a Vitamix blender and just smooth it out a little bit just so you can spread it real nice on your disc that you're gonna shape. Real quick, let's talk about this peel that I have set up here. This is a wooden pizza peel and it's thick. And I would never use this to get under a pizza that I've shaped on granite, which is a terrible surface to shape pizza on. It's just too slippery. Or even butcher block, which is the correct surface to shape pizza on. But this peel is too thick. You're never gonna get under a pizza that you shape on a surface and then try and pick up with this peel. You could be successful with a metal peel on, if you shape your pizza on butcher block and then you go to get it with a very thin metal peel, that works great. And that's how we did it in the restaurant forever. But it's an acquired skill, and pizza has a big enough learning curve, and without that being a skill to acquire, we can delete that. And everything's gonna happen on this peel as far as stretching the dough and creating the disc and then saucing it and cheese and toppings and then into the oven. And with the right amount of flour spread into here, it'll be like ball bearings. It'll be able to slide back and forth on here, and I'll be able to get it off onto our 16-inch cast iron pizza stone that is in the oven. And it's been in there for about 25 minutes at 500 degrees. It's ripping hot. It's ready to go. All right, where's my dough? It's in the fridge. So because I made this dough 2.5 hours ago, I kind of used the first one that I do, the first pizza, and you can see it's kind of sat down and spread out versus what you see in this picture. It's where it started. Now this is where it is. So I'm gonna take some flour. I'm gonna do the big guy first. I'm just gonna rub a little bit of flour on him. And I don't really need a bench scraper to get them out, but you certainly could use one. So after I handle this, I'll decide if that dough is going back in the fridge or not. Because if it ends up stretching very easily, this one right here, that's gonna let me know that as that tempers, it's gonna get hard to handle quickly, or I'll need to handle it fast. The bulldog's about to ask to come in. So we've got 2 sides, right? Good dog. Okay, so we have 2 sides. We have this side, which was our side that we balled, and it's smooth. And then we got this junky side where all our seams got pulled into. To start here, I'm gonna work from the middle, and then I'm gonna work from the edges. So I'm gonna start by just tapping out my sides to kind of establish like where my crust is gonna be. And then I've got this little pot belly in the middle, and I'm gonna push it out, kind of in all directions, just using my fingertips. And then we're picking it up. And we're gonna use gravity and kind of a pinching technique. I'm kind of pinching where the crust is gonna be, and I'm just going around in a circle. I'm just going clockwise, clockwise. And I'm just pinching it, you know, kind of getting the crust to form like a rim. And as it starts to get bigger here and thinner where my fingers are, I'm going into the middle. And I'm using like the knuckles of my hands. And I'm kind of pulling, and then I'll turn and I'll kind of pull it apart from there. I'm just going to work my way around. So I'm trying to stretch the middle portion of the dough. And this is ice cold. I might actually leave these guys out just based on how this first one feels. And it's the bigger of all of them, so it will probably have the least amount of cold penetrated through it so far. So if I were to toss this, I could. This one's big enough. I'm not going to toss any of these little 10-inch guys. It's not enough dough. But you can see kind of like how I'm going around. It's kind of a circular movement. I'm just kind of stretching it with rotation. And then I can go back to the edge. And same kind of pinching sort of technique. I'm really kind of pulling it upward and just working my way around. I'm just moving at the speed that the dough wants to move at. If I go too slow, it'll fall faster than I'm moving. If I go too fast, it's just not going to do the thing. It's not going to get stretched. So I'm thinning out the sides, and then I'm going to go back to the middle. I'm going to stretch the middle, and the middle will feel thick. You can see I did a pretty good job getting all the air out of here. So I've got a really consistent thickness of dough. Like I don't have any weird, actually wait, I spoke too soon. I've got like one weird little air pocket thin spot right there, but that's okay. So this guy weighed out to about 450 grams. It's going to take up pretty much the whole peel here. And it's going to take up our whole cast iron pizza stone in the oven. And what are we looking for as far as thickness? Well, I'm looking for a thickness that's going to allow me to have not only like some crust around the edges, but also I know that it's going to take up this peel. So I don't want a thick bottom surface of the dough. We're not doing Chicago style. This is not going to be a deep dish. Now, there's really no flour on here. See, you can hold it. If you're gentle, it's okay. So I need to get some flour on here, and I'm going to rub it in. I want all the grain of wood to be filled with flour. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it onto the work surface. But remember what I was saying about the presentation side and not the presentation side. So maybe you can see like how smooth this is. This is the side that was face up when it was a ball of dough like a minute ago. I want this to be on the floured surface because I know it's going to slide better. So this side is the side that was inside. This is the interior of that ball of dough. And it's got like it's got more texture to it, more stickiness, more tackiness. I don't want to put this in contact with the peel because it's more likely to stick. So presentation side, even if you like end up flipping it over as you're stretching it to like put more stretch through it, remember where you are because you want to go with that smooth side down. All right, so I'm done playing with this guy. And you'll feel the temperature of the dough change as you're working with it. So it is going to slide off of here, I promise, because it can do this. All right, as far as sauce goes, this is a pretty big pizza, but I'm going based on the preference of who's going to eat it, my girls. And I know this spoon is about a tablespoon, and about 5 spoonfuls of sauce is going to get me where they're going to like it. And this is just a really basic tomato sauce. I'll link a recipe in the description. It's tomato, basil, garlic. That's it. TBG. Because if we wanted to make anything else, we can always add stuff. But, you know, if there were onions in this or something, pancetta, prosciutto, whatever, then it's not going to make the kind of pizza we want. Cheese, I'm not going to give you any measurements here. But we want to start in the middle with the cheese, and we're going to pull it out to our sides. And we want to leave that crust. But we want the cheese to go just past the sauce so it can anchor onto the crust. And there's nothing worse than getting a bite of pizza, and on that bite of pizza, you pull all the cheese off of the surface because it's not anchored to the crust properly. So go just a little bit beyond the sauce. This is going to be a pepperoni pizza for lunch tomorrow. And remember, we don't have to be perfectly circular. If you don't nail it just right, don't worry about it. It's okay. And when I go to slide this pizza off of the peel, it's possible like the pepperonis are going to shift around, or you might have some cheese kind of fling off. It just kind of comes with the territory a little bit. As you're getting going here, like learning how to do this, pick one topping or just go cheese, just so you can learn how to do this. All right, camera, you're coming with me. So I can shift it on my peel. Oh, a little piece of cheese, I don't want that on my stone. And I'm just sliding it off. It's kind of like a quick little shaky movement. There it is, fits nice on my stone. Okay, 10 minutes. That's as long as that's gonna take. After about 5 minutes, I'm gonna turn it like 180 and go for another 5, and it should be done by then. So I'll catch up when that comes out of the oven, and we'll take it from there. We'll do the next one. We'll do a couple of the little guys together also, because they're different. It's just a different thing. Let's see, tips. Have a damp towel available, because we're gonna need to wipe down that pizza stone. There is flour on the bottom of that, because all the flour that was on here is still under the pizza. So we're gonna wanna wipe that off of the stone so we don't end up with a ton of flour accumulating. And then the grease that comes off of the pizza, it's inevitable, can make it like kind of a mess. So we wanna have a nice crust on the bottom, so we wanna clean our stone in between every pizza that we make. Now, the movement is what gets everybody like that. It's like, well, how do I shake it? It's like a really like quick little shake to get it like sliding on the flour. And it's gonna take practice. It's gonna be the hardest part. But there's an alternative. Where are they? See, I said I was ready, but that's okay. I was ready for my pizza. I wasn't ready for you. These are pizza screens. These are 10-inch pizza screens. Now, if you wanted to avoid this whole like, oh my God, I've got to get it off the peel, it's gonna stick, what do I do? Shape your pizza, stretch, 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 and then you put it on this disc. Sauce it, toppings, take your disc, put it on the pizza stone. It's easy. And this is gonna conduct really good heat, so you are gonna get a nice crust still on the bottom. Like you're still gonna get temperature through this from that hot cast iron stone. These are great. This is an amazing place to start. There is no shame in using these. I recommend them. I'll put a link in the description. You get them on Amazon, pack of 2. I don't think they're more than $15 for 2 of them. And I feel like this is one of those things where, you know, as I teach people how to make pizza, they're like, no, man, that's cheating. You don't use that. It's like, well, yeah, so, but you didn't work at Spago Beverly Hills for 12 years, did you? So when people get outside their skill set and they try and do something that they're just not ready for, you're setting yourself up for failure. So maybe for the time being, focus on stretching your dough. Make a beautiful round. You know, get all that dialed in, figure out the whole dough making process, and then use these to make your pizza. It's cool. And then as you get more proficient in making a nice disc, then you can start tinkering with this. Or maybe you go half and half. Maybe it's just, you know, you're making pizza for 2, so you make 2 really pretty ones, and then the last 2 you can kind of, you know, try and figure this out. So at least you're having a guaranteed success, and then you're developing like a more advanced skill. So those are my thoughts on that. I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so let's answer the question real quick. What are we gonna use to manipulate our pizza? This is all we need, a fish spatula. I am not using the peel to turn the pizza, because all it takes is that. Easy, right? Okay, here we go. So it's a large pizza. So what am I gonna put it on? I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna put it on this sheet tray, parchment paper. We're going over the cutting board. It's been in for 10 minutes. So my pizza's out, and remember what I was talking about? We're gonna clean clean towel, not anymore. So I'm just looking to take all of that off of the stone because, you know, look, it's already dark. It will get darker. So keep wiping off your pizza stone in between every pizza that you make. So I'm gonna let this cool off just for a little bit and then pop it on the board and then we'll cut it together. In the meantime, let's get going on we gotta make another pizza. So I flour it. I know you can't see it. That's okay. I'm just putting flour on the surface. You're not missing anything. Now let's give it like a little bit more flour. Okay, so remember, we have our smooth side, which will eventually become the bottom of our pizza because it's easier to slide it that way. And then we have our uglier side. So just like the first one, I'm gonna kind of work out some of the crust and then I'm gonna push out the belly that I just kind of created. And I'm just starting to kind of form this disc shape, this round disc here. And then what do we do next? I'm gonna pick it up and, you know, if you need to be aware of like, where's the presentation side? Well, right now it's facing me. I chose to leave the dough out. That big guy felt really cold to me. So I want my dough to warm up a little bit just so I don't have to take so long to shape it, so I'm not fighting with cold dough. The warmer it gets, the more slack it becomes. And fresh out of the fridge, ice cold dough, unless it's overproofed, it can make it so it takes a little longer to fight with it and stretch it. All right, so I've gone around. It's pretty cooperative. I'm creating stretching on the outer edges, and my middle is still thick. So now I need to get into the middle and stretch the middle. And if you get to like a thick spot where it feels like, oh, this is thicker than where I just got to, or you go around, there's like a thick spot, you know, you can kind of hang with it and let it have, you know, more influence from gravity. So now where's that smooth presentation side? It's in contact with my hands. The ugly side is up. Just for your reference, just so you know where I am. So you know I know where I am. And I feel like I've got a little bit of a thin spot. Let's see if you can see it. There's a thin spot, like right through here. And you know, when you start establishing like a little bit too much stretching in an area and you start getting a thin spot, those are the spots where you risk not only tearing it, but it also sticking to your cutting board. So you really want to try and have like a nice even layer of dough. Even though, you know, we are stretching it pretty thin, we want it to be consistent. So the first one always throws me off when it's the big one, because then I stretch this little guy and I feel like, oh, it's so small. But that's what I'm making. I'm making like a little 10-inch guy. So I've got a little bit of a thick spot right here in the middle, and I'm just kind of working it. You know, give it like some pulls with your knuckles. Really gentle movement. You want to respect what the dough can tolerate, just like when we were stretching and folding and trying not to tear it. Same here, but even more important. So we've got decent size, and sometimes, you know, I'll throw it down on the board just to check, like, how am I looking? I have a nice little 10-inch guy yet? That looks pretty good. So I'm going to pick it up. Remember, here's my ugly side. My inside, this was the inside of the dough right there. And I can stretch that side, you know, just to kind of help fight some of the elasticity or fight some of the tension that's still in the dough. You can work both sides. But there we go. So let's see, what do I want? Flour? Yes, I want flour. And how much? Well, it's hard to say. I don't know if that's a teaspoon, maybe a touch more, but rubbing it into the grain of the wood is very important. And I don't want this thing caked with flour because it's not going to go away. Like if you put too much flour in here, it's going to end up stuck to your dough, and then you're going to have floury bites of pizza. And that's terrible. Okay, so for one pizza, it's about 3 spoonfuls of sauce for the preference of my audience, the people that are going to be eating these pizzas. And, you know, I'm just using a spoon to spread it. If you want to use a ladle and, you know, establish like, hey, a 3-ounce ladle is exactly how much sauce I put on a 240-gram ball of dough, you could certainly add consistency and repeatability here. But, you know, whatever works for you. Oh no, do I have enough cheese? I might have to go get more cheese out of the fridge. Nah, we're good. This will be enough. Okay, so same as before, I'm bringing, you know, cheese in the middle, and then we work it out to the sides, and we want it to get some anchoring on our crust. My wife's dad was here recently, and he's like, I hate crust. I was like, but it's like sourdough, fresh baked, amazing dough. He's like, I won't eat the crust. I was like, fine. So I took the sauce and the cheese, so there was no crust. So, a lot of room for interpretation here. Make your pizza how you like it. And he ate all of it. There was no crust stragglers for his wife to clean up for him. So, whatever works for you. You are the chef. You're going to eat it. Make whatever adjustments are necessary. Okay, here we go. You ready? It's a quick movement. So it shakes, it slides. I know I'm safe to go in the oven. So 10 minutes from now, that'll come out. I'm going to turn it after 5 minutes. Maybe on the next one, I'll do like one of these guys just to do one of these guys. Okay, so the large pizza's out. I cut it. I put some chopped marjoram on it. This is going to cool. This is going to be the lunch pizza. But if you want to think about like as far as crust goes, we've got like a nice layer of crust. Our cheese is attached to it. We've got some cool pieces that have like a little bit of the crusty brown cheese, which I think is great. We've got some decent color on the bottom. And just the way kind of my dough expanded, I got some spots that pushed up, which kind of pushed my toppings to the side a little bit. But you never know what is going to happen with pizza. This is how we like to go with pizza. We don't do Neapolitan. We don't like cracker crust. We love having like a crust like this where it's almost like you get to finish your pizza with an amazing bread, like a breadstick, like a real awesome, like fresh breadstick. But it's crisp, it's chewy, and it doesn't have too much cheese. And I feel like it's got like a nice spread of pepperoni here, where every piece has like a bunch of bites of pepperoni, except for this one where it just worked out to be the lucky guy with extra pepperoni on him. Anyway, this is going to cool off. I'll put a plastic lid on it once it's cool, and then it'll go in the fridge. This will be tomorrow's lunch pizza. And so now you have an idea of like, what do you get out of what was this? Essentially 225 gram flour batch, right? And if you wanted to make pizza for a larger group, you can make your dough balls more in that 200 gram to 225 gram flour weight. And then you won't have to make everybody individuals. Like then you've got like more of like a pizza that's shareable. And you can put on like a really nice white ceramic, serving platter and just keep loading it with pizza, take requests. Now another thing to consider, the weight of toppings. Oh, I gotta turn my pizza. So toppings, I know I already said stick with like one or two, but the toppings can really hold you back if you're trying to put too much stuff on top of your pizza, or if you're taking requests and it's like, I want peppers and mushrooms and sausage and onions and salami and ham, and it's like, no, this is a 10-inch pizza. I always tell people, like when my wife's parents are gonna come over for dinner, or we're having family come to town, because we live somewhere kind of remote, people come visit us and I cook for everybody the whole time they're here. And I'll just pose the question, what are your 3 favorite toppings on a pizza? And that's it, you get 3. What are your 3 favorite? And usually everybody just usually gives me 2. Sometimes it's 3, but if you can limit it to 3 at the most, you're gonna be very successful with sliding a pizza off the peel if you're going with that method. So that's my recommendation. When you're making pizza for people, what are your 3 favorite toppings? And then get those toppings and put them on the pizza. And get like the best ones. Like when you get black olives, get like some Calabana olives. Don't get the crappy ones in the jar, the little black olives. Unless that's what they like. Whatever. Make the person that you're cooking for super happy. And I think eventually at the end, when you develop this skill and you have some mastery of it, this is going to be the best pizza that you ever have. You'll go out to restaurants and it'll never be as good as what you make at home. Especially if you're making your own sauce, you're making your own dough, and then you have, community and family and relationship happening, around pizza, around food. Make pizza once a week. That's how you get good at making pizza. Don't make this like a once a month type of thing. You're already making dough, you've already got a starter. Now do this once a week. Just like you have to make 2 loaves of bread every time you make bread, make pizza once a week. Just add in a little extra exercise to accommodate the extra amount of energy you're putting in your body. Okay, so I got these, I think they're actually 8-inch. Yeah, they're 8-inch stainless steel plates that are perfect for a 10-inch pizza. So spatula, fish spatula, I'll throw a link in the description. These are the best. Pizza's gonna come out, and I'm just gonna kind of use my plate just to transport it over to my cutting surface, to my cutting board. Oh. All right, pizza. All right, so this guy's got some nice color on him. We're gonna go a little bit of marjoram. Sprinkle a little marjoram on there, just a little bit, not too much. And it's sizzling. It is hot. So for these 10-inch guys, I think 6 is the right number of slices. 4 seems weird to me. It makes it look like a frozen pizza or something. But 6 seems right. Oh, come here, pizza. So here we are. I'm not going to set it on this guy. As soon as this thing gets warm, everything turns into glue. So here we go. Little 10-inch guy. We've got a beautiful little crust here. Nice rim. It's balanced. It's got, everybody always says, I want more pepperoni. Give me extra pepperoni. That's a good amount of pepperoni for what I know they want. Your call. Do whatever you want. But let's see. I can't even pick it up. Let's see. Can I show you the bottom? How about, let's see, which one's going to let me do it? So we got some good browning, light browning on the bottom. The crust is crisp. I know it's chewy inside. And this is the fun part. I make pizzas for everybody, and then they got to stare them down. They got to wait for them to cool. You're not allowed to set a timer. You've just got to wait until this is cool enough to enjoy it, because if you bite into it premature, you know how this goes. Cheese burns the roof of your mouth. You don't enjoy the whole rest of this amazing experience. So as I make them, it's just kind of part of the process of pizza night. You got to just stare down your molten lava pizza and wait for it to cool off before you get into it. All right, so I'm going to do another one. We'll use the pizza screen just for fun.